Tonight, we're going to spend the next hour with a member of one of rock and roll's most loved and respected groups. We'll not deal this evening with historical nor statistical facts concerning how everyone came to meet, or the number of records they have sold, or concert halls they have filled. What this band is given cannot be measured or judged in such non-relevant terms. For whatever the reasons, for whatever the methods, they are able to record and transmit a feeling so strong and so personal as to touch the very core of anyone who has ever been lifted to a higher plane by the words and the music of the Moody Blues. I arrived at Michael Pinder's home on a beautiful Southern California afternoon at about 3 o'clock. Now, we had some tea, English style, of course, and then we sat down in his front room, looking out over the canyon, high on a mountain. And I thought we'd begin with the reason Michael Pinder chose this spot to live.
It represents the way I think. If I was living in an apartment, which I've done in London and Bayswater and Barnes and Putney and all those places, it always ended up that there was never enough room. I like to be able to look as far as I can think. And if I was in an apartment or something like that now, if there wasn't somewhere where I could let my eyes gaze and be able to travel miles, I would feel a lacking in my environment. It's the same thing as sitting and watching the fire, in a sense, you know, but there's different ways, there's different kinds of visual stimuli. A fire is one, it's an ever-changing kind of situation, but so is the ocean, you know. And the clouds and the sky, it's always ever-changing, just like the fire. It's never the same flicker twice. And so it has the same magical element to me. It's that sort of yantra. It's a means of getting to a calm place.
For many people, the Moody Blues have always represented not only beautiful and creative music, but more importantly to some, a true spiritual enlightenment. Now, this spirituality has always been the most important message found in the Moody's lyrics, and yet at the same time has caused the greatest misunderstanding. The Moody Blues have never seen themselves as gurus or prophets of the New Age. They have never encouraged people to believe that they and they alone had the answer or the secret formula for inner peace. Yet, their audiences have taken much of their music to mean just that. The Moody Blues have always seen themselves as having only one role beyond that of being musicians, and that was communicators, transmitters, if you will, of ideas and information. And the most important communication to the Moody Blues is to try and tell all of us that the only secret of spiritual happiness and peace can be found within oneself.
It's no big trick, and I think people are beginning to realize that more, you know. There were the early days when you couldn't walk down the road because you were going to get your shirt torn off your back, and then there were the other days, later than that, where you'd get mobbed by people asking questions and by people getting down on their knees and people dressed up as the Pope and all sorts of weird kinds of confusion. Mm-hmm. That was evident in the late 60s, as opposed to the early 60s, which was all sort of hysteria. It was a different kind of, the hysteria turned to confusion, and out of the confusion seems to be coming light, you know, some kind of normal, a new norm, which is what the whole weird thing we've been talking about anyway. Right. A new norm for everyone, you know, and more people are accepting and reaching for that new norm, which is what we were talking about in terms of human relationships and depths of experience. More and more people realizing that life is a string of experiences, and so let's make those experiences as good and as deep as possible. So the thing is to try and get it across to people as much as possible that these are just experiences that people are having, and to be able to put them down and share those experiences, and more people are realizing that they can share their experiences through many, many forms. Everybody doesn't have to make records to do that. In the studio, we were always very analytical, you know, of what we were doing. Everything was considered, you know, before an album was released, we considered every word of the lyrics and to make sure that it was balanced and that it didn't in any way make statements as such. I mean, everybody makes statements within conversation, but I mean direct statements as to this is
The
answer or
yeah.
the way
Exactly.
or anything, because we didn't really give answers, but more of a, it was the same thing as I'm still doing now with my own album, really. I ask questions myself all the time, and so I put down whatever answers sort of come together within there. It's the asking of the question that brings about the answer, but the answer is always an intangible thing. We're waiting for us to zap them into some kind of eternal bliss, you know, and you can only get a few minutes of that on any record, you know.
You can only get a few minutes of real bliss.
And two bliss cuts. No, that would be 3 minutes, 15 seconds long, you know. End of bliss. Every time, you know, we'd be in the studio making an album. We had a coffee table we called the round table, and we'd just all sit around that, and it was square actually, but we called it the round table simply because it represented the place where everybody would take off their armour, lay down their swords and guns and their egos, and be honest human beings. And that's where everything would be decided, debated, listened to, judged, tried, drawn and quartered, as many ideas were.
Very evident, too, in the final outcome.
Looking for something to share.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I buy records. You know, I buy records in the hope that I'm going to get something out of it, more than just simple entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm going to hear somebody say something I want to hear, and know that it's coming from a person who I can trust and believe that, you know, that they've had that experience. Many people, and in fact almost everyone, has at some time in their life prayed and been answered.
Is that the word that you would use for it, is prayer?
No, it isn't, because I would have used it if I had. I would have said one day I prayed aloud. But I was once again trying to bring down the mystical down to reality. Because asking sincerely into the atmosphere or the environment is really praying.
Oh, yeah.
In the true sense,
yeah.
Instead of just reciting some over and over thing, maybe in a very large building. But praying is any time that you truly yearn, you know, from your most innermost being. It's when you're truly wishing help, or explanation, or understanding. That's what real prayer is, and we do that, all of us, almost every day, in our longings, in our hopes for our children and our friends and our families, and for world peace and all of the other kind of things. So we're all really in touch with that place all the time, but it's just trying to make us all realise how much we do touch on that every day, and in how many events, you know, we touch on that one place.
And it isn't something that's out of anybody's reach, but is totally within everybody's grasp.
Yes, because everyone does have that quiet voice inside, you know, that voice that they know to be real, their conscience, if you like, some people call it. One day I asked aloud, amidst the dark confusion, I asked where could be found the answer to our problems. And then out of the dark, a voice was saying, listen, listen to your heart. We all are wise within. And that's exactly how it happened. And so, although I wrote the song, the actual words and the things that came as they were. It was in answer to something that really happened in my life. One day I did actually stand there and... One day I asked aloud, amidst the dark confusion, I asked where could be found the answer to our problem. And then out of the dark, a voice was saying, listen, listen to your heart. We all are wise within, and only you can change the way you are, and only you can find your morning star. event in my life. That's why I opened the album with that, so that everyone may understand kind of where I was coming from. The album is basically a collection of experiences over a period of years. I hope that within there is contained a general personal philosophy that is hopefully not obtrusive, you know, to other people's philosophy, but just it was something that I had to put down for myself in some form or other, so that I could get out and see it myself. Because some of the experiences that I've had, the only way I could understand them myself was to let the experience become a tangible thing by writing it down, and eventually by putting it to music and then putting it into a whole form.
So you could kind of hold it and go, examine it,
yeah,
look at it.
It's the whole thing is what I'm trying to say in a lot of ways is that this is the way I feel and think about a lot of things and about life, that I'm just the same as everyone else. I just happen to have this connection with making records and writing songs and everything, but that I'm one of the first people, I am the first person to learn. If there's anything to be learned from this album, then I'm the first one that gets to learn it.
Looking back, sometimes I wonder who held the key to your heart. Now I know, through places I've traveled, our loves unravel a chart. In my life I've waited for the chance to really make it something written into my stars. Past lives that I've lived only lead up to a gift of speaking out my thoughts in my songs. I only want to love you, I only want to care. I'd like a friend to talk to, my feelings are to share, my life with someone. I hope it's you, and that you'll care.
Allen Ginsberg said before, he said, the revolution has taken place already in the minds and the hearts of the people. And I see that Timothy Leary is now a free man, God bless his soul.
He is
Saw a smiling face on the TV last night. That was one news broadcast I enjoyed watching.
It's been a long time coming. Which brings us to the point of why a man who is a Harvard University professor and through his own free will decided to go a different direction with a different vehicle, put out absolutely nothing but positive energy, never, to my recollection, advised anyone to pick up a gun or do anything like that. It totally was into giving, and they nailed him. They locked the guy away and wasted all those years of his life and his energy and drained him when he could have been doing something much more positive. Now, do you think that we're at a position now where we can listen to someone like Timothy Leary, even if he's brand new, and be aware enough to either reject him or accept him, but not be afraid of him?
I hope that it's that way, and I think that that's the way that people are ready to do that, because I think whatever he says, whatever happens now, people are going to listen because he's a household name. Mm-hmm. And people are going to listen to find out, for their own curiosity's sake. And so what he's going to be saying now is going to be, I know he realizes, because I know him as a person, what kind of person he is. You know, I trust him with my life as a human being, you know. And so I realize that he realizes that what he's saying now is very important, and I'm sure that he'll be taking full advantage of being able to show people that he really is a sane person, yeah, and that he's a true humanitarian, mm-hmm, and that he has a tremendous capacity to bring people together, mm-hmm, and to bring things to our attention, things that need bringing to our attention. And I hope by the same token as some of the things we were talking about earlier, about people being able to communicate and get to know and trust each other over a much shorter time period. That by that same growth, I think the world probably realizes that he's already suffered enough. Now, I must admit I don't understand the politics, and I must admit that I'm not really interested in it. But I do know, and I think that one of the reasons that he was nailed, as you said, was, and I think this is true with any person that rises in that kind of stature, is that when there's a bunch of people that around a person like that who has a lot of, has a magnetic aura, and this has happened with several gurus of all kinds, you know, not only Tim, is that it attracts not only good energy but also stray energy. He didn't particularly advocate anything bad. He didn't advocate that everybody should take it, and he was trying to make everyone aware of its real potential and of its positive potential and of its negative potential, because he'd had time to explore it ahead of many, many people. And this is what he was trying to, you know, lay down. But when you get that kind of situation and you get people gathering momentum around a personality like Tim, there's always things always get twisted, and people start saying things because they feel this little bit of power, because they're close to the nucleus and they feel this little bit of power, and they speak to some particular reporter or something on the outer edge and they start saying all of this that happens to be their own extremism, you know. In situations like that things get out of hand, and I think that was one of the main factors. But he was a Harvard professor also, and he all of a sudden he was in show business, and he wasn't used to that. I'm sure that whatever he's going to be doing now, he's going to be doing very, very coolly. Oh, yeah. In a very cool manner, very well thought out and very straightforward and upfront. My life is motivated on this moving forward basis, to stand still in one place for too long, to not function to the brim, yeah. You know, to not get that opportunity to be pushed, where if life is no longer a challenge, then that's a drag. And life can be a challenge in whatever you're doing, and that's what I'm finding, is I'm finding challenges within my own thing. I'm looking for challenges, things that I can say, well, okay, I'm going to have a go at that. Why not? I've got nothing to lose, but and everything to gain. I think that's why we're still making albums as individuals. It's because we've all got that momentum. And right now we're making individual things so that we may experience things as individuals once more after 12 years of it as a group. And that hopefully will lead us back together as being able to, as being that a bunch of individuals can make an album or two or whatever happens again together, you know.
The situation with the Moody Blues, it was quite different again than situations with other rock and roll bands, is that when the solo efforts started coming out, it was never stated, that's it, you know, the Moody's are history, I'm now the focal point.
That's why we never really officially announced anything that, you know, that we were saying Moody Blues are finished forever.
No.
Because that isn't what was in our minds. What was in our minds was that we had to do what we had to do at that time. Yeah. And it was like, whatever comes along, and if something does come along, be ready for it. Hoping that that mutual respect was there. Very important point is that all the guys being fathers, all of the children were all pretty much in the same age group. And so it was very much a point in time where if ever a child needed a father, it was now. So it was a very logical thing that I can appreciate it even more as the longer that we're apart in terms of not working together as a band, the clearer it becomes for all of us why we had to make you know, a stopping point and take a big holiday away from it. I hope that in our explaining our own internal situation with the Moody's, that it helps explain other people's own relationships. You know, I think that's one of the most important things, is that it's the human relationships with any group of people. And people always used to say to us, yeah, it's so amazing that you can stick together so long, and that a group of people, you can all be together and think the same way and all of this. And it was always a tremendous thing to a lot of people outside of us, you know. And the thing is that we're showing our own, you know, dirty washing sort of thing. We don't have anything to hide, and we're trying to explain it as we come to understand what's happening to us. We try and explain it, you know, for our public too. My goal is to be exactly the same as the other people, and for those people to be exactly the same as me. But it's not my workings. What I'm interested in is that I'm one of them. I am one of us. There is no them and us situation at all, which is the thing that is becoming clear from the hysteria through the confusion, and now this clear thing of that artists are just as viable human beings as ordinary people, and ordinary people in the same way as artists. We're all artists, you know, and we're all human beings. So I'm trying to tackle it, everything that I'm doing, from that point of view, and we ended up, the last thing with the Moody's, before we took a nice rest, long deserved rest, was we're just singers in a rock and roll band, which was the last statement to cover all of the things that we'd said and done in the past. And in the same way, I'm trying to pick up and carry on where we left off at that point, as we all are, and still retain that we're just singers in a rock and roll band, we're just guys on the street just the same as everyone else, so that the information can have a clear way through, instead of it being hung up in all of those little avenues and distractions that we talked about.
Before saying goodnight, I'd like to say thank you to Jack Morris from Sound Communications, also to Jerry Hoff from Threshold Records, and Jerry Weintraub and Larry Douglas from Management 3. Interview is produced and phased by Brent Seltzer. Lee Doc Hansen was in charge of pushing the magic buttons. Now, most of all, I'd like to say thank you to you for listening and for lending your energy to this headphone interview of the Moody Blues. I'm Jim Ladd.